On November 21st, 2021, Darryl Brooks drove a sports utility vehicle through the annual Christmas parade here in Waukesha, Wisconsin, killing 6 people and injuring 62 others. He pleaded not guilty to 6 counts of first-degree intentional homicide and 71 additional charges. He chose to represent himself at his trial, which began on October 3rd, 2022. On October 26, 2022, a jury found Brooks guilty on all 76 charges, and he was sentenced to 6 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole, plus an additional 762 and a half years to be served consecutively. So I'm going to give you a little background on the city of Waukesha. I've lived here my entire life other than a few years in Milwaukee. I grew up in a smaller town that's just a little bit west of this, but Waukesha is home. It's a suburb of Milwaukee. It's only about 18 miles west of Milwaukee. We have the Fox River, which runs through it. Way back when in the 1800s, it was known as Spring City because of all of the natural springs throughout the river and that have popped up in the ground. There's actually just a little bit away from here, I'm at Frame Park. It's a really popular place, but as you see from all the snowbanks, the weather hasn't been kind so far this winter, so there's not much to see. It was known for being the homeland of the Ojibwe, the Ho-Chunk, the Potawatomi, and the Menominee Native Indians. They grew corn, pumpkins, berries, and nuts and hunted here until they were removed in 1835. It was really well known for its lumber and flour mills, and it was famous for the healing waters from the springs. Like I said, a lot of people came here far, distances to heal and relax. It was kind of a resort town in like the early 19th century. We have a big manufacturer of spring water, beer, soda, dairy products, iron and steel, and we had a really great, excellent road system that leads from here west towards Madison and east towards Milwaukee and even south into Illinois. There's a lot of famous people that are from Waukesha, some being Liberace, Les Paul, who created the Les Paul Gibson electric guitar and is really, really well known for his guitars and musical stuff. Waukesha has been nicknamed Guitar City because of all of the museums and statues and things in Les Paul's memory. Gene Wilder is from this area. Also, actress Gina Rollins. Football players, the Watt brothers, J.J. Derrick and T.J. Watt are from this area. There's a lot of others, but those are the most famous. It's also really well known for, in like the 20s through the 40s, being a big mafia hangout. So when big things would happen in Chicago and people like Babyface Nelson and Bugs Moran and John Dillinger, Al Capone needed to get out of Chicago and get the heat off of them, they would come here. So getting back to the parade and what happened, in 2021, it would have been it was the 58th annual. In 2020, the parade, obviously with the pandemic, was canceled, and over 60 entries had wanted to come and be a part of the 58th annual in 2021. The theme of the parade was comfort and joy, and it was just expected to be such a huge event that things were kind of getting back to normal. At about 4:30 during the parade, Darryl in his 2010 SUV was going about 45 miles an hour. And the reason I should back up. The reason I'm at Frame Park is because Darryl Brooks' path of destruction started here. He was out on bail 3 weeks before the parade. He had tried to unalive his ex-girlfriend. He had actually made bail only 2 or 3 days before the parade. He met up with her here. Right in this area, there's kind of quite a big parking lot here, And there's actually a couple other parking lots around the park. There's one by like the children's section. I'm at the baseball fields. Then there's also for the formal gardens, and then a little bit Easter's over by like the waterfall, which we have, and some other things. So he started here. He met up with his ex-girlfriend, who he was out on bond for beating up and trying to unalive. They had a couple of drinks here at the park and walked around and talked, and then an argument ensued, and he attempted to hit her with his car. He then left the park, and I'm gonna take you the whole path, the whole way through downtown. He sped up. I was actually at the parade. I wasn't in the path of destruction, but I was where the vehicle passed by, and I'll show you where I was sitting. He sped up, and all of witness accounts have said that he zigzagged through this very narrow pathway, trying to hit as many people as possible. Now, what my story is, I was meant to meet a friend. I go to the parade every year, and this year my best friend and her children were running behind, so we decided to meet up with her, and we would probably try to venture down if she made it in time by these condos. Fortunately, she did not make it on time, and we just stayed put where we were, which is kind of the beginning of the parade. I saw the vehicle go by, and I didn't really think anything of it. I thought maybe it was part of a, the cheerleading squad, or I didn't know, but I did think they were going too fast, but it didn't really register until maybe 3 minutes later when all hell broke loose. I thought I was hearing gunshots, and we heard screaming and commotion, and we immediately got in the vehicle and ventured home. I only live about 5 or 6 blocks away from downtown, so it's not really like a big distance for me. And when I got home, I was really, really crazily calling my friend, because I wasn't sure if she had, ventured down when they did get here and we just kind of missed each other, or what. And by that time, there were SWAT trucks coming into town. There were police. I've never seen this many police cars in my entire life. We thought there was, obviously an attack of some sort, but I swore that I heard gunshots. And I found out later that what I heard was his vehicle running over brass instruments from the marching band. And at the end, right after he kind of got through, there was one police officer who did shoot at the vehicle twice. He then escaped into a neighborhood and parked the vehicle and got out and started knocking on people's doors. He was able to get somebody to open their door who had no clue of what had just happened downtown. And they gave him a sandwich. He said he was homeless and he needed to call an Uber. He gave him his phone, and he actually let Darryl into his home. The police were hot on his tracks and thankfully found him pretty quick and were able to arrest him and take him into custody. Along the 6 dead, 4 of them were part of the Dancing Grannies, which is exactly that. They're really well known for playing at Bucks games and at Brewers games, Packer games, and in parades. They're all grandmothers, and yeah. And the 2 of them were just bystanders, and the youngest was an 8-year-old by the name of Jackson Sparks, who this baseball field that you see here in front of you is now named after. He was in the parade with his baseball team. He was very, very excited to be in the parade. It was the first time he was able to be in the parade. And yeah, it was devastating. It's very devastating. And I don't know that the city has really still completely healed from it. The aftermath of it, obviously all of the people passing away the 60, 70 people that were hurt. Many of them were in serious condition, critical condition. Many of them stayed in the hospital for months. A couple of them even spent almost a full year in the hospital. I think we came out stronger. So a lot of laws have changed when it comes to domestic abusers. They're not going to get out on bond as easily as they did before this. We now have new barricades for the parade so that nobody can drive through the crowd. It kind of woke us up. You know, Waukesha is a city of about 70,000 people, but it still has that small town vibe and like small community feeling to it. I see people that I've known my whole life pretty much every day going to just the grocery store. So it's got that small town vibe within a big suburb. So I guess we'll now venture out of here and I will take you through the parade route. So as Darryl Brooks pulled out of here after almost hitting his children's mother with his car, there's kind of going to be a lot of traffic, but we'll do our best to get through downtown. It's 4 o'clock on a Thursday. So this is the actual path that Darryl would have taken, that he did take. So we're on White Rock, which is one of like the busier streets that come from outside of the city. These are all new builds. These used to be all older houses and they tore a lot of them down. Habitat for Humanity does a lot of work over here as well. So the red brick building that you see to your right is where I was sat for the parade. So the parade route actually starts in this parking lot, and I was sat just kind of in this parking lot that we're coming up to on my right, where those cars are parked. Is kind of where I was parked. So this is the beginning of the parade route, and this is where it all kind of began. So I was sat like right here, kind of close to this no parking sign is where we were parked. So a lot of the footage that you see that people took of that day in the red SUV, this beige-ish building is in a lot of them. So this is the Riverfront and River's Edge condominiums. And then this kind of ventures into downtown. So about 20 years ago or so, the 5 Points, which is the downtown part of Waukesha, where Broadway, Main Street, and Grandview all meet. It's 5 corners. Used to be closed. It was cobblestone, and it was really kind of meant for, you know, people to walk and venture all the little stores that are along downtown Main Street. They decided, I think about 15, maybe 20 years ago, to open it up. But the road is still really narrow. There wasn't really anything they could do to open the street up. So you're going to see how tight of a spot this was. Imagine once we get into here where all of the cars are parked were people. That's where people had their lawn chairs and all of that sat in. So we're venturing into it right now. This is where he started to hit people. We have a lot of little gelato shops antique shops. There's all sorts of little things going on down here. So once we get up here to the stop sign, this is where the worst of what he did happened, and where we actually have our memorial, which is right here on the left hand side. You see it, it's kind of covered in snow, but that's the memorial. So this is the 5-point stops. And what happened is pretty much right here is where the dancing grannies and the baseball teams were. He continued to venture down this through here. He's going about 45 miles an hour. He never stopped. He never slowed down. People who were able to look at him said he looked so concentrated, so clear-eyed, so like he knew what he was doing. Which I think is what makes it the most devastating, is that, you know, it wasn't somebody who just had given up and was out of his mind. He was aiming for people. He was zigzagging that vehicle in these narrow roads to hurt people. And I think that's what makes it the worst. That's the worst part of it all. So I'm actually going to take you to where he was arrested. So after this is where the parade usually ends. There's parking lots to the left, which is like part of like restaurants, and they kind of start to close up over here. But he kept going. I'm pretty sure, if I understand correctly, this is about where the officer shot at him, and banged on the hood of his car, and Darryl just continued on. He flew through this stop sign. He parked his car right along this street in one of these driveways. I'm not 100% sure, but I do believe it's the light blue because of the porch, is where he parked his vehicle. And then he ran through the back of all of these beautiful little houses, which is insane to me. And then he was able to get all the way, oh boy, school buses. Oh boy. So, it seems I'm gonna have to venture out about a different way. Okay, we got this. Just hold on. School bus is taking its darn time. So he ran through not all of this, but all of before, and was able to knock on a door over here. I'll show you where. This brick building right here, as you see. He knocked on the door. He spoke to the guy who answered it, and the guy gave him a sandwich, let him use his phone, and then the police showed up. So, you know, that was his path, you know, and he had children of his own, and he's devastated their lives. He devastated an entire community, entire city, and an entire state. He made us stronger, and he'll never be able to hurt another person again. I think this is the story of the Waukesha Christmas Parade, from my opinion and from my eyes as a person who lives here. Maybe next time we'll venture into Jeffrey Dahmer. I've got a lot of stuff that I could really kind of show y'all that I hear people talking about on YouTube. I hear people talk about Ed Gein, and I have family ties to Ed Gein, as my great uncle was the sheriff of Waukesha County and was the arresting officer. He had close ties to Ed Gein, and also they're buried in the same cemetery up north. So I could go there. There's a lot of mafia ties, like I said earlier here, so I could really kind of show some of that as well. So we'll just see. I don't know, this is something new that I never really thought I would really do, but a lot of people have been asking me for this stuff, so I figured I'd show you. And if you want more, just let me know. If you're not interested, just go away. I don't care. But yeah, I'm gonna go through downtown one more time and just kind of show you the opposite way of how narrow the roads are, and the path that Darryl Brooks took on November 21st, 2021, when he murdered 6 people during a Christmas parade downtown Waukesha, Wisconsin, and maimed and severely injured almost 65 other people. This is the 5 points. So we have Broadway that goes straight across that way. We have Grand that comes out at the corner. And this is Main Street. Letters and notes for the people who lost family members. Les Paul. The big part of the area is talking about Les Paul. We talk about it a lot. Which is cool. All right, you guys. Talk to you later.